Step into the world like you're already it. That's not advice, it is truth wrapped in a command. For the moment you assume the identity of the person you desire to become, the world around you has no choice but to mirror that assumption. You don't wait to be chosen. You don't sit quietly hoping for permission. You decide, and in that sacred decision, you give yourself the crown. The outer world is only a servant, obeying the posture of your inner world. Walk like the door is already open. Speak like the answer is already yes. Carry yourself like the promise is already fulfilled. You are not here to chase reality. You are here to create it. You are not here to react. You are here to command. And what you command, consciously or not, springs forth from what you believe to be true about yourself. So dare to believe that you are already what you long to be. Not becoming, not hoping, already it. The feeling of fulfillment must not be delayed until some visible confirmation appears. No, it must precede it. The feeling becomes the cause, the external merely echoes it. Every time you look into the mirror, don't see who you are, see who you've decided to be. Don't wait for someone else to recognize your worth before you recognize it. Don't wait to be celebrated before you carry yourself with the weight of glory. Do not look to your current circumstances to tell you what's possible. Circumstances are only the fruit of old assumptions. If you want new fruit, plant new thoughts, walk differently, think differently. Dwell in the end, not in the longing. Imagination is not a game, it is the gateway. When you imagine yourself as successful, loved, powerful, healed, you are not lying to yourself. You are waking up. You are aligning with the deeper truth. For everything you desire is already contained in the unseen, waiting for your recognition to give it permission to appear. You do not create by force, you create by assumption. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and stay loyal to that feeling, no matter what your senses scream. The world will attempt to distract you with evidence. Evidence of lack, evidence of failure, evidence of limitation. But do not bow to evidence. Evidence changes. Truth remains. And the truth is simple. You become what you accept as true for yourself. Accept only that which affirms your divine worth, your unstoppable power, your limitless capacity to live the life you were designed to imagine. There is no power outside of your own consciousness, no one to grant you permission, no event to unlock your destiny. All is within. The moment you shift within, the world begins to bend. The people change, the opportunities change, doors open where there were none before. But all of it traces back to one decision: to walk into the world as if you were already the success, as if you were already the one, as if the world already belonged to you. Not from arrogance, but from inner knowing. Every step you take in this new awareness becomes sacred. You are not pretending, you are embodying. You are living the role before the script has caught up. But it will catch up, it must. Life cannot deny the one who shows up with faith in their own imagination. Life responds to those who live in the invisible realm and dare to claim it is more real than the seen. So walk in the fullness of your chosen identity. Speak from the end. Think from the place where it's already done. You're not trying to make it happen. You're aligning with the version of yourself where it already has, and the world will rise to meet you there. To live from the end is to dwell in the certainty of your desire fulfilled, long before the world offers you any visible proof. It is to choose a state of being so anchored in the reality you have inwardly accepted that outer appearances lose their power to disturb or discourage you. The mistake most people make is living toward the thing they want. They imagine the future as something separate, far off, requiring effort, time, and the approval of the world to access. But the secret is this: Nothing is truly far if you claim it within. The only distance between you and your desire is the belief that you don't already possess it. Remove that illusion and the fulfillment becomes instant within consciousness, which is the only place it truly matters. To live from the end is not to hope or to wish or to wait, it is to be. You step into the role of the person who already has the thing, already is the thing, already knows the outcome. The world may contradict it, the facts may resist it, but truth is not built from facts. It is built from inner certainty. And that certainty is your seed. The soil of reality has no choice but to give back to you what you have planted within. You are not here to be a spectator of life. You are here to be the author. And every author writes from the ending first. Knowing how it ends changes how the story unfolds. When you live from the end, you stop asking if something will happen. You stop wondering when it will arrive. You let go of questions that imply distance. You act, speak, and think as though it is already so, not to deceive yourself, but because your inner world has already claimed it. The outer must follow the inner. It is law, not man's law, but divine law, the law of consciousness, the law that says every state you inhabit inwardly must find its expression outwardly in time. The delay is not punishment. The delay is only preparation. It is the echo catching up with the sound, but the sound, you must remain firm. And what does it look like to live from the end? It means to wake up each morning not needing proof, because the proof is already alive in your feeling. It means to no longer pray with desperation, but to pray with gratitude, as though your soul already holds the thing you once begged for. It means you stop rehearsing your pain and start rehearsing your power. You do not beg reality to change, you assume that it has, and you live accordingly. There is an intelligence behind all creation that responds to the language of belief, and belief is not the words you say, it is the state you live from. If you say, I am successful, but inwardly feel lack and unworthiness, then the world mirrors your feeling, not your words. The secret is alignment, not of speech alone, but of identity. To live from the end is to fuse your present being with the future you long for. You don't wait to be rich to feel abundant. You feel abundant and the richness comes. You don't wait to be loved to feel worthy. You feel worthy and the love flows in. You don't wait for healing to feel whole. You feel wholeness and the healing must obey. Every day the choice is offered to you again. Will you live from what you see or from what you know? Because what you know within has far greater power than what your senses present. Your senses are often late to the truth. They lag behind your convictions. You cannot wait for them to agree before you believe. You believe and then they will catch up. That is why the dreamer, the one who dares to feel the end, is the true realist. Because he knows that reality is molded by unseen things, by thought, by emotion, by imagination, by faith. The outer world is but a canvas waiting to reflect the inner world's portrait. Most people suffer not because life is cruel, but because they are trapped in the wrong assumption. They assume the problem is stronger than the solution. They assume the absence is more real than the presence. They assume that who they are now is permanent, but nothing is permanent except the truth you declare as permanent. That is the gift and the responsibility. If you want to change your life, you must first change your dwelling place within. And the only place worth living in is the end, the fulfilled, the complete, the realized state. You must feel it deeply, you must taste the victory before the battle is over. You must hear the applause before the performance begins. You must see the door open, even when it still looks closed. Living from the end is not about pretending, it is about embodying. It is about the quiet confidence of a soul that no longer needs to push because it already possesses. And the more you dwell in that state, the more the world bends, shifts, rearranges itself, not because you forced it, but because you became unshakable in what you accept. Let others be logical. Let others count the odds, analyze the risks, track the steps. You instead dwell in the end. You become the evidence. You walk ahead of proof. You live in the knowing. And from that knowing, miracles are born, not because the universe changes, but because you did. And once you change your posture, once you stand in the end and say, "This is who I am now," the world responds like a mirror aligning to its reflection. Imagination is not a child's escape. It is the workshop of creation. Everything that now exists was first imagined. The buildings that pierce the sky, the songs that stir hearts, the bridges that connect continents, all of them began as invisible pictures within someone's mind. To see with the eyes is one thing, but to see with the inner vision is to access the blueprint of all reality. Imagination is not fantasy. It is reality in motion, vibrating just beyond the reach of the senses, waiting to descend into form through sustained belief. The world around you is nothing more than a reflection of the world within you. And if you want to change the outer picture, you must first paint a new one inside. So many wait for life to give them permission. They wait for science. They wait for the world to validate their dreams. But the truth is far more powerful. The world waits on you. It waits on the image you hold. It waits on the movie you play on repeat within your consciousness. You are not a passive observer of life. You are the director, the screenwriter, the actor, and the stage all in one. And what you repeatedly imagine with feeling becomes your lived experience. This is not a poetic idea. It is the way life has always worked. Your dominant imagination forms your dominant reality. When you begin to understand the sacred power of imagination, you stop using it recklessly. You stop imagining worst-case scenarios. You stop rehearsing pain and betrayal and rejection, because you know now those scenes are not harmless, they are seeds. And seeds grow. Every time you replay the betrayal, you deepen the wound. Every time you visualize failure, you are building the architecture for it to appear. But the moment you interrupt that cycle and begin to imagine what you desire with clarity and emotion, you open a portal for it to enter your life. Do not confuse imagination with idle daydreaming. Daydreams drift, but true imagination is focused feeling. It is intentional, it is precise, it is not about merely picturing something. It is about dwelling in it so completely that you can smell the air, feel the textures, hear the sounds, and taste the result. Imagination, when fused with faith, becomes the bridge between the unseen and the seen. It is not wishful thinking, it is causative thinking. The world calls it coincidence, the awakened soul calls it law. The senses will always report to you what was. They show you the aftermath of past imaginal acts. So, do not be discouraged by what you currently see. What matters is what you are imagining now. That is your true life. You are never stuck in reality. You are only stuck in thought. And thought is flexible. Imagination, even more so. You can close your eyes and live anywhere. You can be anyone. You can possess anything. And if you remain in that inner world long enough, the outer world will rearrange itself to match. This is the secret the world overlooks. This is the power no one teaches you to respect. You become what you continually accept and imagine as true. Imagination does not require effort. It requires alignment. It asks that you suspend disbelief long enough to feel something new. To accept a vision, not because you have seen it with your eyes, but because you have accepted it with your heart. And once it is accepted emotionally, it becomes inevitable. You can't stop what has been truly imagined with belief. The world will conspire to reflect it, even through strange, unpredictable paths. It is not your job to know how. It is only your job to remain faithful to the image. Let the image do the work. Let the feeling create the bridge. Most people misuse their imagination without knowing it. They dwell on the things they fear. They replay the scenes that broke them. They reinforce lack by picturing what they don't have, and then they wonder why nothing changes. But change is not found by analyzing the past. It is found by building a new future in the present moment. You must turn your attention inward and ask, what am I imagining daily? What am I feeling to be true? That question reveals everything. Your imagination is a mirror. It will never reflect anything but what you feed it. Feed it fear, and fear will find you. Feed it joy, and joy must return. Feed it love, and love will blossom. It cannot return void. Imagination must become your sanctuary, the place where you go, not to escape, but to command, not to flee life, but to build it. Every night before sleep, you are given a chance to reshape your entire reality. What images do you take into sleep with you? What feelings do you fall asleep in? That state carries you into deeper dimensions of consciousness, where seeds are planted. Sleep in fear, and fear will grow. Sleep in faith, and miracles will find you. Use your imagination wisely, not once, but continually. Not when convenient, but as a way of life. The inner vision must become more real than the outer noise. The noise will try to distract you. It will shout statistics, remind you of your failures, show you empty bank accounts, or echo the insults of others. But you must turn your gaze inward and say, this is the truth I choose. And in your imagination, see yourself victorious, loved, healed, whole, powerful, not just once, but as a new dwelling place. That is the true home. The world outside is only ever a projection of the home you have built within. Imagination holds no limits except the ones you place upon it. It is not bound by your background, your education, your age, or your circumstances. It answers only to your willingness to believe, and belief is simply imagination sustained. You are never at the mercy of life. You are always in conversation with it, through the images you accept and the emotions you allow. So speak to life boldly, paint your world vividly, and do not step out of your imagined scene until the world joins you there. For it surely will. It cannot do otherwise. The world you see is not fixed. It bends, shifts, and reshapes itself around the assumptions you hold within. Assumption is not a weak wish, nor is it idle hope. It is a decision made in silence, a contract written in spirit. You assume a thing to be true, and in that assumption you make it real. Not because the world agrees with you first, but because you choose to agree with a truth that is not yet visible. This is the unseen mechanism that governs all outcomes. It is not your effort that changes things. It is not your struggle or your pleading. It is your assumption. What you assume to be true about yourself, about others, about the world, that becomes your experience. Most people live as if circumstances hold the final word. They treat their environment as a dictator rather than a reflection. They see lack and assume it is permanent. They experience rejection and assume they are unworthy. They face difficulty and assume the odds are stacked against them. But these assumptions are not facts. They are choices, and they form a cycle. What you assume, you feel. What you feel, you attract. What you attract, you experience. And then that experience reinforces your assumption, unless you consciously break the loop. To live consciously is to recognize the power of your assumptions and to no longer give that power away to appearances. Circumstances are echoes, not causes. They are the shadow cast by your previous thoughts, your previous feelings, your previous assumptions. If you want new shadows, you must change the light within. Your current reality is not a verdict, it is a mirror. If it displeases you, do not argue with the mirror. Change the image you hold of yourself. Change the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you assume others see you. Do not wait for life to approve of you before you approve of yourself. That approval, when claimed first, becomes the invitation for life to reflect it. There is no truth more liberating than this. Your assumption overrides circumstance. The world cannot give you what you refuse to claim within. You may say, but I have nothing. Then you must assume abundance before the outer can provide it. You may say, but I am broken. Then you must assume wholeness even while the evidence is still loud with pain. The assumption is not about ignoring reality. It is about creating a new one. And you do not create new realities by bowing to old ones. Every time you assume something new, something bold, something greater than what your senses tell you, you are interrupting the old cycle. You are writing a new chapter. You are planting new seeds. And though the fruit may not appear overnight, it is already on its way the moment you persist in your new assumption. Do not be discouraged if the world does not immediately reflect the change. The outer world has inertia. It takes time to catch up with the inner, but it will catch up because it has no power to resist. Assumptions are felt truths. They live in your body, in your posture, in your tone of voice, in your inner conversations. You may not even be aware of some of them, but they shape you daily. If you assume you are unwanted, you will interpret every silence as rejection. If you assume life is hard, you will find difficulty in every corner. If you assume that things never work out for you, even your blessings will appear burdensome. But if you shift the assumption, the entire scene changes. You may be in the same job, same home, same body, but the energy you bring is different, and soon everything responds to that difference. What's most incredible is that assumption does not need evidence to begin working. In fact, it creates the evidence. You begin with nothing but the feeling of I am, and the world must show you what you have claimed. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is not pretending, it is pre-living. You are not lying to yourself by saying, I am worthy, even when you feel unworthy. You are simply declaring a higher truth that life is waiting for you to believe. You must speak from the place you want to arrive, not about it from a distance. There will be resistance. Your old thoughts will fight you. The world will throw you reminders of who you used to be. But you must stand firm in the new assumption like a tree planted in truth. You must return to it again and again until it becomes natural. And when it does, when you no longer question your new identity, life will follow your lead. You will find people treating you differently. You will see opportunities appear where there were once none. You will realize that life didn't need to change. You just needed to change your inner agreement. The power of assumption is not just in thought, it is in embodiment. To assume is to become. Not someday, not when things are easier. Now, you don't wait to see the outcome before you step into the identity. You step in now, fully, and trust that the world will adjust. That trust is not foolish, it is the deepest wisdom. For the world cannot help but obey the instruction it receives from your consistent inner state. You must ask yourself daily, what am I assuming right now? Not what you hope, not what you want, but what are you actually assuming to be true about yourself, about your future, about life itself? That assumption is your path. Change the assumption, and the destination must also change. You are not walking in circles. You are walking the path your inner world lays out for you. Choose to lay out a new one built on power, not pity, one built on truth, not trauma, one built on the vision of who you are becoming rather than the memory of who you've been. You owe it to yourself to assume boldly. Assume with courage, assume the best about yourself, even if no one else does, especially if no one else does. Because the world has no choice but to treat you according to how you treat yourself. That is the secret few dare to test. But the moment you do, everything changes. Not because life suddenly became easier, but because you finally became the authority of your own experience. Consciousness is the only creative power in the universe. Everything that exists begins within it, is shaped by it, and is sustained through it. When you finally realize that your consciousness is the source, not your effort, not other people, not the economy, not your past, you stop chasing things outside yourself and start claiming dominion within. The world you live in, the people you meet, the results you experience are all expressions of what you have accepted as true in your own consciousness. You are not here to be shaped by life. You are here to shape it. And that shaping happens not with force, but with awareness. Most people believe they are victims of life's randomness. They look at their struggles and see only the external causes. They say, if only I had more time, more money, better health, more support. They wait for life to give them something before they feel empowered to move. But this delay is unnecessary, because everything you seek outside of you already exists in the invisible substance of consciousness. What you truly believe, what you inwardly accept as your reality, will express itself in the visible world. It must. There is no separation between inner state and outer condition. They are not just connected, they are one. When you understand that consciousness is creative, you begin to take responsibility for every belief you hold. You stop blaming others. You stop waiting for circumstances to change. You look inward and ask, what must I believe about myself for this situation to continue? That question is the doorway to transformation. Because once you locate the belief, you can change it. And once you change the belief, reality has no choice but to follow. Consciousness is not passive. It is not something that merely reacts to what the senses present. It is causative. The outer world is its servant, not its master. Your job is not to fight with appearances, but to create new ones by shifting the content of your inner world. Think of your consciousness like fertile soil. Whatever you plant, whether it be faith or fear, hope or despair, will take root and grow, and the world will feed you the fruit of that planting. So plant deliberately. Plant wisely. Plant as someone who knows their thoughts carry divine power. You do not need to understand how it will happen. You don't need to work out the mechanics. You only need to dwell in the feeling of what you desire as already true. Because the feeling is the signal. It is the acceptance. When you live in the feeling of abundance, you are saying to consciousness, this is who I am. And consciousness says yes. When you live in the feeling of love, you are not begging for someone to come. You are recognizing that love is already yours. And in time, the outer world will reflect that truth. There is no power outside your own awareness. You may give your power away to other people, to circumstances, to memories, but it was always yours. And when you take it back, everything shifts. You walk into rooms differently. You stop asking for permission. You no longer need validation because you have validated yourself within. That inner authority becomes a magnet for transformation. Life rearranges itself around the clarity of your consciousness, and the more clearly you see yourself, the more the world mirrors that vision. Everything begins with I am. That is the sacred foundation of all creation. Whatever you place after I am becomes your identity, and your identity becomes your experience. Say, I am broke, and your world confirms it. Say, I am strong, and life begins to give you strength. Say, I am forgotten, and even kindness hides from you. But say, I am chosen, and the doors you never saw before will open wide. It is not magic, it is law. The law of consciousness responds not to what you want, but to what you are in your own mind. The moment you shift your identity, the world responds. Most people are unconscious creators. They let the past write their assumptions. They let pain write their definitions. They let fear dictate their self-vision. But none of that is permanent unless you say so. You can wake up now and choose to create consciously. You can reimagine your entire life, not by changing others, but by changing how you see yourself. You can declare, I am no longer who I was. I choose to be this now. And when that declaration becomes a feeling, and that feeling becomes a state, and that state becomes your home, then nothing in the world can stop what is coming. Consciousness does not discriminate. It gives to everyone according to their assumption. You are not favored by luck or cursed by fate. You are guided by what you consistently accept as true. If you want to change the direction of your life, you must first change the direction of your awareness. Where is your attention resting? What story are you repeating? What inner conversations are shaping your reality? These are not small questions. They are the most important questions you will ever ask, because they reveal the future that is already forming. You don't need evidence to believe. You need belief to generate evidence. This is the reversal that changes everything. Don't wait for the world to agree with you. Speak the new truth anyway. Think the new thought anyway. Feel the new emotion anyway. This is how you begin to bend the world with your being. You hold the vision, not because you see it, but because you know it is real in the unseen. And that knowing becomes your strength. That knowing becomes your compass. That knowing becomes your new reality. And the old one must fall away. So few realize how much power they already carry. They think they need more education, more time, more resources. But all they really need is a shift in consciousness. Once you change what you believe to be true about yourself, everything else aligns. Doors open, people appear, opportunities multiply, and you look back not in disbelief but in gratitude, because deep down you knew all along it was never the world that needed to change, it was you. Embodiment is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the spiritual and the physical, the imagined and the lived. To embody something is to become it in the now, not later. It means you no longer think of yourself as someone trying to get there. You are already there, in feeling, in awareness, in identity. And that shift, that quiet yet profound inner transformation, is what pulls the unseen into visibility. You don't beg for your desires to come true. You don't chase them as if they are separate from you. You inhabit them. You make space for them inside your consciousness. And as you embody that new state of being, life bends to reflect it. To understand embodiment is to understand that life is not responding to your wishes. It's responding to your identity. You can dream of abundance and still live as someone who expects lack. You can speak of love and still move through the world as someone unloved. The outer reality does not answer to your words alone. It answers to the way you carry yourself, the energy you embody, the assumptions you cling to when no one is watching. Embodiment is not surface level. It is not acting for show. It is a deep internal knowing that permeates every thought, every breath, every decision. This is why change never truly happens on the outside first. Change begins in how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you define yourself in private. If you believe that you are still lacking, still broken, still small, then even the most beautiful opportunities will slip through your fingers because you will not feel worthy of them. But if you shift your self-concept, if you begin to move and think and exist as someone who already possesses the thing they once hoped for, then your entire world changes. Not by force, but by reflection. Most people are waiting for the money to come before they feel rich, waiting for the relationship to begin before they feel lovable, waiting for the healing to appear before they feel whole. But waiting delays the manifestation. Embodiment calls it forward. When you become the person who already has it in spirit, then life must echo your vibration. The mirror does not smile first, you must, and the reflection will follow. So ask yourself, who would I be if I already had it? How would I speak, walk, think, feel if it was already mine? Then be that. Be that before you see it. Be that in secret, be that in faith. And what you were being in the dark will come to light. The process is simple yet powerful. You stop looking at your life to define you. You start defining your life by the way you see yourself. You are not just imagining anymore. You are becoming. You're no longer trying to convince yourself. You have already been convinced. And that quiet inner conviction becomes magnetic. You begin to move differently, not with arrogance, but with certainty, not with need, but with presence. And that shift in energy opens doors that once seemed locked. It attracts people who match your new self. It moves mountains without effort, because it is not coming from struggle, it is coming from alignment. There is a level of peace that comes with embodiment. A peace that no longer needs constant reassurance. When you truly embody your desire, you stop checking the world to see if it's working. You stop begging for signs. You stop doubting the process. You just live it. You enjoy the feeling of it now, not because the outer has changed, but because your inner world is full. And that fullness is the seed of manifestation. Desperation blocks, embodiment unlocks. You are not reaching out, you are drawing in. You are not trying, you are attracting. To embody something is to be unapologetic about it. You don't shrink yourself to match what others expect. You don't delay your power out of fear of appearing arrogant. You live as if it's done, because within you it is. Embodiment is bold, not because it is loud, but because it refuses to bow to doubt. It's the calm confidence of someone who has already seen the finish line, even if they're still walking the path. It's the quiet power of someone who knows they're worthy, even if no one else sees it yet. There is also a sacred trust involved. Trust that you don't need to control everything. Trust that you don't need to manipulate outcomes. When you embody your end, you surrender the how and fall in love with the being. You release the timeline and you embrace the identity. And from that space, you become a magnet for the very things you once believed were distant. They're not distant anymore. They're being pulled toward you, not because you're asking loudly, but because you're finally aligned with them. It is not what you do occasionally that changes your life. It's what you embody daily. Embodiment doesn't switch off when you feel discouraged. In fact, that's when it's most powerful. When life seems to contradict your desire, that is your invitation to remain loyal to your new self. That's where real transformation happens. Not in the easy moments, but in the hard ones. When you choose to hold your inner state despite outer chaos. When you continue to act from your future rather than react to your past. That is the test. And that is the moment where the unseen becomes real. Embodiment is not pretending. It's not faking. It's becoming. And becoming is a process of merging your imagination with your identity until there is no longer a gap between who you are and who you dreamed of being. It is the collapse of desire into being, the disappearance of striving into stillness, the shift from hoping into knowing. When you embody, you no longer ask if you'll receive it. You know that you're the one who already holds it within. This is how manifestation becomes natural, not forced, not strained, but effortless. You are no longer trying to get something. You are revealing who you already are. You're not chasing the dream. You are awakening it from within. And when your internal world becomes saturated with the feeling of already having it, the external world must bow. Not out of obligation, but out of resonance. You didn't fight it into existence, you simply matched it. And once you match it, you live it. Once you live it, the rest is inevitable. Because the world cannot deny the one who embodies the truth before it's seen. There is a secret known to those who live in the fullness of life. A secret so simple yet so profound that it shapes the entire course of one's destiny. It is the understanding that what you assume to be true becomes your reality. When you act as if everything always works out for you, the world bends to match your assumption. There is no force outside of you dictating your fate. The only power shaping your life is the belief you carry within. If you assume that things must be difficult, that life is a struggle, you will see evidence of this everywhere. But if you assume that everything unfolds in your favor, that all things conspire for your good, then this becomes your experience. Think of a time when you just knew something would go your way. There was no doubt, no hesitation, only certainty. And in that certainty, events aligned, opportunities appeared, and what you desired became real. This is not coincidence, it is law. The key is not in waiting for external proof, but in walking as though the proof is already here. If you desire success, carry yourself as one who is already successful. If you long for love, feel now the warmth of being cherished. If you seek abundance, move through life as if wealth is already yours. The world does not respond to wishful thinking, it responds to the conviction of your state of being. Doubt is the only thing that delays the manifestation of your desires. But when you refuse to entertain doubt, when you remain unwavering in the assumption that everything is working in your favor, reality has no choice but to comply. You do not need to know how things will unfold. Your only task is to persist in the assumption that they will. Look at your life now. Every circumstance, every event, every relationship is a reflection of your past assumptions. If you want to change your future, change the way you see yourself now. Assume that all things, even those that seem unfavorable, are leading you to something greater. Assume that no matter what appears before you, the end result is always in your favor. The moment you adopt this mindset, you will notice a shift. Doors that seem closed will open effortlessly. Challenges will resolve themselves in unexpected ways. People and opportunities will appear just when you need them. Life will flow with ease, not because of luck, but because you have chosen to live from the certainty that everything always works out for you. And when you truly believe this, when you no longer waver, you will see the proof unfold before your eyes. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. What you assume to be true becomes the reality you experience. This is not a philosophy of wishful thinking, but a fundamental law of existence. Every belief you hold, whether consciously or unconsciously, is shaping your world at this very moment. The mind is the birthplace of all creation, and it is through assumption that the invisible becomes visible. When you take on the belief that everything always works out for you, life itself begins to mirror this assumption. Imagine waking up each morning with the unshakable conviction that no matter what happens, no matter what challenges arise, all things will ultimately work in your favor. This belief is not dependent on circumstances, nor does it require validation from the outside world. Instead, it is a state of being, a deep inner knowing that the universe is always conspiring to bring about the best possible outcome for you. Most people live in reaction to their environment. They see the world as something separate from themselves, something that happens to them rather than something that responds to them. They observe difficulties and reinforce their struggles by assuming that life is hard, that success is rare, that happiness is fleeting. These assumptions become self-fulfilling prophecies, not because the world is inherently difficult, but because their belief demands it to be so. Now consider the opposite. When you adopt the assumption that everything is always working in your favor, you no longer react to circumstances with fear or doubt. You move with confidence, knowing that even setbacks are simply stepping stones leading to something greater. You do not need to force things into place or struggle against life. Instead, you operate from a state of effortless flow, trusting that events are aligning perfectly, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. This is not about ignoring reality, but understanding that reality is malleable. Everything that exists in your world was first an assumption in someone's mind. The house you live in, the city you walk through, the devices you use, all were once ideas before they took physical form. In the same way, your life experience is shaped by the assumptions you hold about yourself and the world. If you believe that opportunities are scarce, you will see only closed doors. If you believe that success requires endless struggle, your path will be filled with obstacles. But if you assume that life is unfolding in your favor, you will begin to notice opportunities where none seemed to exist before. You will meet the right people at the right time. Situations that once seemed impossible will resolve themselves effortlessly. This is not magic, nor is it luck. It is simply the way the mind interacts with reality. There is no need to concern yourself with how things will unfold. The conscious mind always seeks logic, asking for explanations and step-by-step plans. But the truth is, the how is never your responsibility. Your only task is to assume the state of being you desire and to live from that assumption as if it were already true. When you do this, the unseen forces of life orchestrate the details in ways you could never predict. Think of a time when something unexpectedly worked out in your favor. Perhaps you were in need of help and the right person showed up at the perfect moment. Maybe you were worried about a problem only for it to resolve itself in a way you hadn't anticipated. These moments are not coincidences. They are evidence of the unseen power that is always responding to your dominant beliefs. The more you assume that everything works out for you, the more this truth solidifies in your experience. You will reach a point where you no longer question it. Just as you do not doubt that the sun will rise each morning, you will not doubt that life is always arranging itself in your favor. This certainty creates an inner peace that cannot be shaken by temporary appearances. Even when circumstances seem challenging, you will know that they are simply a bridge to something better. Instead of reacting with frustration or fear, you will trust the process. You will look beyond the immediate moment and recognize that everything is happening for your highest good. This shift in perspective transforms the way you move through life. You no longer operate from a place of lack or desperation, but from a state of quiet confidence. knowing that all is well. Many people wait for evidence before they believe. They wait for success before they feel successful, for love before they feel loved, for security before they feel secure. But the secret is to reverse this process. Assume the feeling first, and the evidence will follow. When you assume that everything always works out for you, you create an energetic alignment with that reality. Your actions, your thoughts, your emotions all begin to reflect this new assumption, and as a result, life reorganizes itself to match. It is important to remain steadfast in your assumption, even when outer circumstances seem to contradict it. If you waver, if you allow doubt to creep in, you delay the manifestation of your desired reality. But if you persist, if you hold to your assumption regardless of appearances, you will see the proof unfold before your eyes. Consider the great innovators, leaders, and visionaries throughout history. They did not wait for proof before they acted. They assumed their vision was possible even when others doubted them. It was their unwavering belief that brought their ideas into reality. In the same way, when you assume that everything always works out for you, you are setting a powerful creative force into motion. This assumption is not just about positive thinking, it is about knowing. It is about embodying the truth that you are the creator of your reality and that life is always responding to your inner state. It is about stepping into the role of the one who determines their fate rather than the one who is subject to fate. At first, this practice may feel unfamiliar, especially if you have spent years reacting to life instead of shaping it. But the more you commit to this assumption, the more natural it will become. You will begin to notice patterns, synchronicities, and effortless manifestations that confirm your belief. With time, you will no longer need to remind yourself that everything is working out. You will simply know it to be true. This is the way life is meant to be lived, not in struggle, not in fear, but in trust. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you shift into alignment with the highest version of yourself. You no longer chase after outcomes or worry about the details. Instead, you move through life with an unshakable faith, knowing that the path before you is always leading to something greater. The world is your reflection. Change your assumption, and you change your life. Assume that everything is always working out for you, and watch as life unfolds in ways more beautiful than you ever imagined. To live from the end is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is not about waiting for external confirmation, nor is it about hoping that things will one day work out. It is about stepping into the state of already having what you desire, embodying that reality in your thoughts, emotions, and actions. This is the secret to effortless creation. When you live from the end, you no longer operate from a place of lack. You no longer question whether your desire will manifest because you already exist in the state of its fulfillment. Most people live in the mindset of wanting. They want success, they want love, they want abundance, but they continue to dwell in the feeling of not having these things. They wake up each day noticing the absence of what they seek, reinforcing the belief that it is out of reach. They say they believe in manifestation, but their actions reveal a different truth. They are waiting for proof before they allow themselves to feel satisfied, fulfilled, or successful. However, the process does not work this way. You cannot wait for life to bring you what you desire before you shift your state of being. The shift must happen within first. When you assume the state of already having what you desire, the world must rearrange itself to reflect this new inner reality. The external world is nothing more than a projection of your inner state. If you walk through life feeling unworthy, struggling, or doubtful, reality will present you with circumstances that confirm these feelings. But if you persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, reality has no choice but to conform. This is why living from the end is the most powerful way to manifest anything. It removes doubt, eliminates struggle, and allows you to step into a version of yourself that naturally attracts the life you want. There is no forcing, no chasing, no endless waiting. Instead, you become the person who already has what they desire, and life mirrors this state back to you. Imagine someone who desires financial abundance. If they continue to see themselves as struggling, as someone who wants more money, they remain trapped in the reality of lack. Their actions, thoughts, and emotions are all reinforcing the idea that abundance is not yet theirs. But if they were to step into the state of already being financially abundant, everything would change. They would no longer worry about money in the way they once did. They would make decisions from a place of confidence rather than fear. They would carry themselves differently, speak differently, even think differently. And as they persist in this state, their reality would begin to reflect it. Opportunities would arise, circumstances would shift, and abundance would flow effortlessly into their life. The same principle applies to any desire. If you seek love, you must become the person who already has love. You do not wait for someone to appear before you feel loved. You embody that feeling now. If you desire success, you must think and act as the successful version of yourself today. You do not wait until the external world provides evidence. You create the evidence by assuming the state of being first. Some may ask, but how can I act as if I already have something when my current reality shows the opposite? The answer lies in understanding that reality is fluid. What you see now is simply a reflection of past assumptions, past beliefs, past states of being. If you continue to focus on the present circumstances as fixed, you only reinforce them. But when you shift your focus to the reality you desire and live from that place, the outer world begins to shift accordingly. This is not about pretending or faking. It is not about ignoring reality or denying what is. It is about stepping into a deeper understanding of how creation works. The version of you who already has your desire exists in consciousness right now. Your task is to align with that version, to think as they would think, to feel as they would feel, to move through life as they would move. Consider an actor preparing for a role. To bring a character to life, they do not simply read lines. They embody the character fully. They take on their mannerisms, their emotions, their thoughts. They become that character in every way. Similarly, when you desire something in your life, you must become the version of you that already has it. You may wonder, how do I know if I am truly living from the end? The answer is simple. Your emotions will reveal it. When you are fully living from the state of your wish fulfilled, there is no desperation, no anxiety, no frustration. There is only a deep knowing, a quiet confidence that all is well. You no longer feel the need to chase after things or question when they will arrive. You trust the process because you have already accepted your desire as reality. Doubt is the only thing that can disrupt this process. The moment you question whether your manifestation is working, you shift out of the state of fulfillment and back into a state of lack. This is why persistence is key. You must remain in the assumption of already having what you desire, even when the outer world seems unchanged. Many give up too soon because they expect instant results. They plant the seed of assumption, but then dig it up, looking for evidence before it has had a chance to grow. But those who persist, who remain unwavering in their belief, inevitably see their desires take form. If you were to wake up tomorrow and truly believe that your desire was already yours, how would you feel? How would you behave? What thoughts would you entertain? What decisions would you make? These are the questions that guide you into the state of the wish fulfilled. Your work is to live in that state now, not at some future point when the world provides proof. This is the true power of living from the end. It removes all resistance and places you in alignment with the reality you seek. It is not about trying to force things into existence, but about becoming the person who naturally experiences those things. It is about stepping into the consciousness of already having, already being. Reality is never fixed. It is shaped by your assumptions, molded by your state of being. When you live from the end, you are no longer bound by past limitations. You step into a new version of yourself, one that exists in the reality of your fulfilled desires. And as you persist in this state, the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. You are always creating. Every thought, every assumption, every belief is shaping your experience. Choose to live from the end, and you will witness the effortless unfolding of your desires. What you seek is already yours the moment you assume it to be so. Hold firm in that knowing, and life will reveal it to you in ways beyond your imagination. Your imagination is the gateway to all that you desire. It is not just a tool for daydreaming or wishful thinking, it is the very foundation upon which reality is built. Everything you experience in life, every event, every person, every circumstance is a direct reflection of your inner world. When you begin to understand this, you no longer see imagination as something separate from reality, but as the cause of it. The world you live in is nothing more than a projection of what you persistently hold in mind. Most people do not realize the power of their imagination because they have been conditioned to believe that what they see in the external world is more real than what they create within. They live by their five senses, allowing their current circumstances to dictate what they believe is possible. They look at their bank accounts, their relationships, their careers, and conclude that this is their reality, fixed and unchangeable. But this is not how creation works. What you see now is only the result of past assumptions. If you continue to react to what is, you will only create more of the same. If, however, you begin to deliberately use your imagination to see beyond your current reality, you open the door to infinite possibilities. Every great achievement, every innovation, every breakthrough in human history began in the imagination of someone who refused to accept things as they were. They saw something greater, something unseen, and they held on to that vision until it became their reality. This same power is within you. You do not need the world to confirm it for you before you believe in it. Your imagination is the only proof you need. If you wish to change your life, begin by changing what you entertain in your imagination. Instead of replaying memories of failure, rejection, and struggle, begin to imagine yourself as the person who already has what they desire, feeling the emotions of already being there. Do not simply see it as something distant. Step into it, live in it mentally, and persist in that state. Some may argue that imagination is not real, that it is merely fantasy. But what is reality other than what you persistently believe to be true? A person who constantly imagines failure will inevitably experience failure. A person who imagines themselves unloved will continue to see evidence of loneliness. On the other hand, a person who imagines success, joy, and abundance will draw those experiences into their life effortlessly. Your imagination is not separate from reality. It is the blueprint from which reality is formed. Consider someone who desires financial abundance. If they continue to imagine themselves struggling, worrying about bills, and feeling anxious about money, they will remain in that state. Even if they come into money, they will find a way to lose it because their dominant assumption is lack. But if they begin to see themselves as already abundant, if they imagine wealth flowing to them easily, if they feel the relief and joy of financial security, their external world must eventually conform to that assumption. This principle applies to every area of life. If you desire love, imagine yourself already being deeply loved. Feel the warmth of that connection, the joy of companionship. If you desire success, imagine yourself already thriving, already achieving. Step into the role of the successful version of yourself now. The more vividly and consistently you hold these images in your mind, the more quickly they will take shape in your reality. Doubt is the only thing that can block this process. The moment you question whether your imagination is working, you begin to undo its effects. Many people sabotage their manifestations by entertaining contradictory thoughts. They imagine success for a moment, but then allow fear and doubt to creep in. They look at their current circumstances and begin to worry, undoing the work they have done in their imagination. But those who persist in their assumptions, who refuse to accept anything less than their ideal, will inevitably see their desires materialize. One of the simplest ways to harness the power of imagination is through the practice of mental rehearsal. Each night before you sleep, enter a relaxed state and begin to imagine yourself already living your desired reality. Make the scene as vivid as possible. See the details, hear the sounds, feel the emotions. If you desire a new home, imagine yourself walking through it, touching the walls, feeling the comfort of the space. If you desire a fulfilling relationship, imagine conversations with your ideal partner. Feel the love and connection. Whatever you desire, assume that it is already yours and dwell in that state until it feels natural. Sleep is a powerful tool in this process because the moments before sleep are when your subconscious mind is most receptive to new impressions. Whatever you impress upon it, in that state will begin to take root and shape your waking reality. Instead of falling asleep worrying or replaying the events of the day, use this time to imagine the life you wish to create. Persist in this practice and you will soon find that your external world begins to shift in ways you never thought possible. Some may wonder, how long does it take for imagination to become reality? The answer is simple. It takes as long as you allow doubt to interfere. The moment you fully accept your desire as already fulfilled in imagination, the process is set in motion. The only thing that delays it is your wavering belief. If you persist, if you remain steadfast in your assumption, your desire will appear in ways you could never predict. Many people give up too soon because they are looking for immediate results. They plant the seed in imagination but then dig it up by questioning when it will happen. But those who truly understand this principle know that once a desire has been accepted in imagination, it is only a matter of time before it manifests. They do not need to force anything or chase after results. They live in the feeling of already having, knowing that the world must conform to their assumption. The greatest mistake one can make is to believe that imagination is separate from reality. It is not. It is the source of all reality. Everything you see around you first existed in someone's imagination before it became physical. The chair you sit on, the device you are reading this on, the clothes you wear, all were once thoughts in someone's mind. If others can use their imagination to bring their visions to life, so can you. Your imagination is your divine gift, your direct connection to infinite possibilities. There is nothing you cannot create if you persist in the assumption of already having it. The only limits are the ones you place upon yourself. Begin now to use your imagination deliberately. See yourself as the person you wish to be. Live in that state mentally, and reality will shape itself to match. Your imagination is not a place of escape. It is the very substance of creation. Use it wisely, and you will discover that you are the master of your own reality. The world will reflect back to you whatever you hold persistently in mind. Choose to see yourself as already fulfilled, already abundant, already successful, and life will mirror that back to you in ways beyond your wildest dreams. The world around you is a mirror reflecting back to you the contents of your own consciousness. What you assume to be true, what you deeply believe in your heart and persistently entertain in your mind will inevitably show itself in your external world. There is no separation between what you hold internally and what you... The moment you accept this truth, you gain complete authority over your life. For you realize that circumstances are not random, but rather the result of your dominant thoughts and assumptions. Many believe they are at the mercy of life, that events happen to them and that they must react accordingly. They see themselves as victims of chance, subject to forces beyond their control. But this is only because they are unaware of the law that governs reality. They do not realize that everything they experience is an outpicturing of their internal state. If they persist in seeing the world as a place of struggle, they will continue to encounter obstacles. If they hold on to the belief that people cannot be trusted, they will attract experiences that confirm that assumption. If they see themselves as unworthy, they will find that life consistently reinforces that feeling. To change what appears in your world, you must first change what you hold within. The outer world is not separate from you, it is a direct projection of your mind. If you wish to experience abundance, you must first accept abundance as a reality in your imagination. If you desire love, you must first feel loved within yourself. If you wish to see kindness and generosity in the world, you must first embody those qualities internally. You cannot escape this law, for it operates with absolute precision whether you are aware of it or not. Most people attempt to change their external circumstances while leaving their internal state unchanged. They struggle, they fight, they chase after things, believing that through effort alone they can reshape their reality, but they are only addressing effects, not causes. The true cause of all experiences lies within the unseen realm of assumption. To change the effect, one must first change the assumption that created it. If you desire financial prosperity, but your dominant assumption is lack, no amount of hard work or external effort will bring lasting wealth. You may temporarily earn more money, but your inner state will always find a way to return you to the assumption you hold. This is why some people win large sums of money, only to lose it all within a short time. Their inner world has not shifted to align with abundance. They still hold the belief of financial struggle, and so their reality must conform to that belief. If instead they were to assume themselves to be financially secure, if they were to persist in that assumption, regardless of what their bank account currently shows, their external world would inevitably transform to match that new inner state. This is true in relationships as well. A person who sees themselves as unlovable will find that no matter how many relationships they enter, the experience of rejection or disappointment follows them. They will find evidence everywhere that supports their assumption, because reality must always reflect what is held within. But the moment they begin to assume that they are deeply loved, the moment they truly feel within themselves that love is their natural state, their world will rearrange itself to mirror that belief. They will attract loving people, harmonious relationships, and experiences that confirm their new assumption. There is no limit to what can be changed when one understands this principle. The world is not something to be fought against, resisted, or controlled. It is something to be understood. Once you grasp that everything you see is a reflection of your state of mind, you will stop trying to force the external world into submission and instead focus on mastering your inner world. Some may wonder, if my reality is a reflection of my assumptions, why do things sometimes appear to contradict what I desire? The answer is that most people are unaware of the assumptions they are holding. They may say they desire success, but deep down they feel unworthy of it. They may wish for love, but internally they expect disappointment. They may affirm prosperity, but they are consumed by fear of loss. It is not the words you speak or the actions you take that determine your reality. It is the deep-seated beliefs you hold within. If you are not experiencing what you desire, examine what you truly assume to be true. Ask yourself, what do I consistently expect from life? What do I assume about myself and others? The answers to these questions will reveal the cause of your current reality. If you find that your assumptions do not align with what you desire, do not despair. The moment you become aware of them, you have the power to change them. One of the simplest ways to change an assumption is through imagination. Each day, take time to dwell in the feeling of your desired state. If you wish to experience success, imagine yourself already successful. Feel the satisfaction, the joy, the confidence. If you wish for better health, see yourself as vibrant and strong. Feel the energy and vitality. If you desire fulfilling relationships, imagine yourself surrounded by love and harmony. Let these feelings become familiar to you. As you persist in these new assumptions, you will begin to notice small shifts in your reality. Things that once seemed difficult will become effortless. People who once treated you a certain way will change in response to your new state. Opportunities will appear seemingly out of nowhere. But these changes are not random. They are the natural outpicturing of your internal world. A person who embodies this truth moves through life differently. They do not react to every challenge with fear or doubt. Instead, they maintain their inner certainty, knowing that even apparent setbacks are simply part of the unfolding of their assumption. They do not see obstacles as failures, but as temporary illusions that will pass. Because of this, they do not resist life, they flow with it. They trust the process, knowing that as long as they hold the assumption that everything works out, it must come to pass. This state of being affects not only opportunities and external circumstances, but also how others perceive and interact with you. When you walk with confidence, when you radiate the energy of someone who knows things always work out, people respond to you differently. They see you as someone to be trusted, respected, and followed. They pick up on your certainty and reflect it back to you. Doors open effortlessly, support appears, and synchronicities align to reinforce your belief. Many people live in a state of reaction, allowing their moods and expectations to be dictated by what is happening around them. But those who truly understand the nature of reality do the opposite. They decide how they want to feel, how they want to be treated, and what they want to experience. And then they assume that state before any external evidence appears. The external world then follows suit. If you begin today to act as if everything always works out for you, you will start to see small shifts almost immediately. The way people respond to you will change, new opportunities will emerge, things that once seemed difficult will become easier, and as these small shifts occur, they will reinforce your assumption, making it even stronger. The key is to remain consistent. Do not allow temporary appearances to shake your belief. If a challenge arises, instead of reacting with fear or frustration, remind yourself, this is working out for me. Even if you do not yet see how, trust that it is. The moment you assume that even difficulties are serving you, they will begin to do so. What once seemed like a setback will reveal itself to be a necessary step in your path. This way of living does not mean you will never face difficulties, but it does mean that you will move through them with a sense of ease, knowing that nothing can truly be against you. Every challenge is an opportunity. Every delay is part of the perfect timing. And every situation is unfolding for your highest good. As you persist in this assumption, you will find that life begins to feel effortless. Things will fall into place with surprising ease. What once required struggle will happen naturally. The sense of anxiety that once accompanied uncertainty will dissolve, replaced by a quiet confidence that all is well. The shift begins within. The moment you decide that things always work out for you, they do. The world is a mirror, and it must reflect your new assumption. When you hold this belief unwaveringly, nothing can stand in your way. The reality you experience is the one you assume to be true. Assume the best, and the best will unfold before you. Everything in this world is a reflection of what you assume to be true. Your life moves according to the beliefs you hold within yourself. If you desire success, you must first assume that it is already yours. Not in the distant future, not as a possibility, but as an absolute fact. The moment you accept this truth, reality begins to shift in your favor. You do not wait for success to come, you step into it now, fully and completely, as if it were already here. Your imagination is the key to everything. What you imagine and believe to be true with feeling will crystallize into form. The world does not bring you what you want. It brings you who you are. If you see yourself as successful, if you walk as if everything you touch turns into gold, if you feel the certainty of your own achievement, the world has no choice but to conform. It must. That is the law. Doubt is the only thing that can keep you from experiencing what is rightfully yours. If you waver, if you look to the outside world for confirmation, you delay the process. Success is not something to be chased, it is something to be embodied. You must think from it, not of it. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled so completely that it becomes second nature. No effort, no struggle. Just the quiet, unwavering knowing that what you have imagined is real. Your senses may try to deceive you. They will show you things that contradict your vision. But this is where most people fail, because they believe what they see rather than what they know within. You must hold steady. Ignore the evidence of the senses when it does not align with your vision. Reality bends to the one who is bold enough to claim what is already theirs. Live today as the person who already has everything they desire. Speak as that person, walk as that person, breathe as that person. Success is not coming, it is already here, waiting for you to recognize it. The foundation of all achievement lies in the assumption that success is already yours. Before anything can manifest in the external world, it must first be accepted as true in your inner world. The mind is the creative force behind all experiences, shaping reality according to the beliefs you hold. If you desire success, you must first claim it within yourself, not as a distant possibility, but as an absolute certainty. It is not about hoping or wishing, it is about knowing. The moment you fully accept that success is inevitable, your actions, thoughts, and emotions naturally align with that reality, making it unfold effortlessly in your external world. Many people live in a state of waiting, believing that success is something that happens to them only when external conditions are favorable. They look for signs, opportunities, or circumstances to change before they allow themselves to feel successful. But this is the greatest mistake. Success does not come as a result of waiting. It is drawn to those who confidently assume it is already theirs. The key is to shift from a mindset of one day to a mindset of now, right in this moment. Regardless of what your circumstances may appear to be, you must declare that you are already successful, not as an act of pretending, but as an inner knowing so firm that nothing can shake it. This is why it is crucial to act as if success is already yours, not in a superficial way, but in a way that changes your inner state. Feel what it would be like to have already achieved your goals. What does success feel like in your body? What emotions rise up when you think about having everything you desire? How does the world look to you when you have already won? The key is to dwell in that feeling as much as possible. The more you immerse yourself in this state, the faster your reality begins to reflect it. You must live from the end result, from the position of someone who has already arrived. When you fully assume success, you naturally begin to think, speak, and act in alignment with that belief. You no longer second-guess yourself or hesitate, because you are already the person you wish to become. Your actions come from confidence rather than fear. Your decisions become clear, your energy becomes magnetic, and opportunities begin to show up effortlessly. People who believe in their own success carry themselves differently. There is no desperation in their energy, no doubt in their mind. They move with certainty, knowing that life will adjust itself to meet their expectation. Doubt is the only thing that can keep you from fully stepping into this truth. The moment you allow uncertainty to creep in, you begin to delay your own manifestation. The external world may not immediately reflect your new assumption, but that is irrelevant. Your job is to remain faithful to your vision regardless of what your senses tell you. The physical world is only a mirror of past beliefs and assumptions. It takes time to catch up with the new reality you have chosen. Just as a seed planted in the ground does not instantly sprout, your assumption of success needs time to solidify into form. But if you persist, if you refuse to entertain doubt, success must appear. It is law. It is important to detach from the how and focus entirely on the what. Many people block their success by constantly worrying about how it will happen. They analyze, overthink, and doubt whether the right opportunity will show up. But the path to success is not your concern. Your only task is to assume that it is already done. The universe arranges the details in ways you could never predict. The right people, the right circumstances, the right timing, all of it falls into place effortlessly when you remain unwavering in your assumption. Imagine for a moment that you are already living the life you desire. Close your eyes and step into that version of yourself. How do you carry yourself? How do you speak? How do you interact with the world? Embody that version of yourself now and watch how the world begins to shift in response. Every great success story begins with someone who first saw themselves as victorious before anyone else could see it. They did not wait for external validation, they claimed it within, and the world had no choice but to catch up. Everything you seek is already within you. The only thing required is for you to claim it boldly and unapologetically. When you assume success as your present reality, nothing can stand in your way. Your imagination is the most powerful force in your life. It is the creator of everything you experience, the invisible architect shaping your reality at every moment. Whatever you accept in your imagination as true, with feeling and conviction must become your external reality. The world does not bring you what you want, it brings you what you are conscious of being. This is why success is not about hard work, luck, or waiting for the right time. It is about knowing that what you seek is already yours and feeling it as real within you before it appears. Everything in existence first began as an idea in someone's imagination. The buildings you see, the technology you use, the books you read, all of them started as unseen images in the mind of their creators. They became real because someone dared to believe in their vision and refused to accept the limits of their current reality. The same is true for you. What you consistently imagine with conviction will externalize itself in your world. This is not wishful thinking. It is a law as precise as gravity. The challenge is not whether this principle works, but whether you will consciously direct it towards success. The mistake most people make is allowing their imagination to be controlled by their present circumstances. They see lack, failure, and obstacles. And instead of using their inner power to imagine something greater, they continue to dwell on what already exists. But reality is fluid, always responding to your dominant thoughts and feelings. The more you focus on limitations, the more they persist. If you constantly imagine yourself struggling, being overlooked or failing, that is exactly what will continue to manifest. But if you deliberately choose to see yourself as already successful, already abundant, already confident, then the world must shift to reflect that new assumption. The key is to think from success rather than about success. Most people think about their goals as something far away, something they hope to reach someday. But this keeps success in the future always just out of reach. The secret is to move beyond hope and fully embody the feeling of already being the person you desire to be. Imagine that your goal has already been accomplished. How does it feel? What does your life look like now that you have achieved it? What thoughts run through your mind? What emotions fill your heart? Immerse yourself in this reality so completely that it feels more real than your current circumstances. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It accepts whatever you impress upon it with feeling. If you continuously see yourself as a failure, your subconscious will take that as a command and shape your experiences accordingly. But if you persistently hold the image of success, if you make it so clear and so definite that it feels like the only truth, then it must external. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. It does not question the seed you plant, it simply grows whatever you repeatedly impress upon it. This is why imagination is more important than effort alone. Effort without the right mental picture only reinforces struggle. But effort combined with a clear and unwavering vision of success becomes unstoppable. Doubt and fear are the only barriers that keep you from realizing this power. When you allow fear to take hold, you begin to imagine failure rather than success. You start to see obstacles rather than opportunities. But these are only mental illusions, shadows cast by old beliefs that no longer serve you. If you catch yourself falling into doubt, shift immediately back to your vision. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and return to the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, success will feel so real within you that you will no longer question it. And once that happens, it must appear in your world. The most powerful creators in history have always understood this principle, whether they knew it consciously or not. The great inventors, the leaders, the visionaries, all of them held a vision in their mind that seemed impossible at first. They refused to be swayed by temporary appearances. They saw beyond what existed and focused only on what could be. This unwavering faith in their vision is what brought it to life. They lived as if their success was inevitable, and because of this, it became so. The same law applies to you. Do not let appearances deceive you. Your current reality is simply the result of past imaginations, nothing more. If you do not like what you see, change it by changing the images you hold in your mind. The world will conform to the new blueprint you create. Train yourself to imagine only what you desire, to feel it so deeply that it becomes a part of you. The more you do this, the more natural it will feel, and the more effortlessly success will manifest in your life. Your imagination is the key to everything. It is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Master it, and you master your destiny. Your actions, thoughts, and emotions must align with the belief that success is already yours. Everything in life is energy, and the way you carry yourself reflects the state of mind you hold. When you assume success as your present reality, your behavior changes automatically. You speak differently, walk differently, and make decisions with confidence. You no longer hesitate or doubt yourself because deep within you know that everything is already unfolding in your favor. It is not about pretending, it is about embodying the reality you have chosen for yourself. Most people wait for external validation before they allow themselves to feel successful. They want to see results first, and only then will they believe. But this is backward thinking. The external world is a reflection of your internal world, not the other way around. If you continue to act from a place of doubt, hesitation, or lack, you will continue to attract experiences that match that frequency. But if you act as if your success is already guaranteed, then life must adjust to reflect that assumption. Consider the difference between someone who knows they are successful and someone who is merely hoping for success. The one who knows moves with certainty. They are not concerned with how things will unfold because they trust that the right doors will open. Their presence commands respect, their words carry authority, and their energy is magnetic. Opportunities naturally flow to them because they are already aligned with the reality of success. On the other hand, the person who merely hopes often hesitates. They question their worth, second-guess their choices, and wait for proof before they fully commit. But waiting only delays the manifestation of success. To live in the state of success now, you must begin by shifting your identity. Who would you be if you had already achieved everything you desired? How would you think? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself? The key is to step into that version of yourself today, not when the external conditions change, but now. Success is not something you chase, it is something you become. And when you become it, the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Your thoughts must also align with this reality. Every moment you are either affirming your success or reinforcing old doubts. If your inner dialogue is filled with uncertainty, you are telling your subconscious mind that success is not yet yours. But if you consistently hold thoughts of confidence, knowing that your subconscious mind must accept that as truth, the more you focus on this new reality, the more natural it becomes. You will notice that your self-doubt fades, your decisions become clearer, and you begin to attract circumstances that match your new mindset. Emotions play an equally important role. If you act as if success is already yours, but feel anxious, desperate, or doubtful, then you are not truly embodying that reality. Your emotions must align with the feeling of already having what you desire. Take a moment to imagine your success. How does it feel? Relief, joy, gratitude, excitement. Whatever the emotion, allow yourself to fully experience it now. The more you dwell in that emotional state, the faster your external world will rearrange itself to match. The reason this works is simple. Life is always responding to the energy you project. If you act with confidence, think with certainty, and feel the joy of success, then your reality must shift accordingly. But if you act with hesitation, think with doubt, and feel the frustration of not yet having what you desire, then you will continue to create those same experiences. Many people sabotage themselves because they allow external circumstances to dictate their inner state. They let setbacks shake their belief, and they react to temporary appearances instead of staying faithful to their vision. But circumstances are only echoes of past thoughts. They have no real power unless you give it to them. No matter what is happening around you, your job is to remain unwavering in your assumption of success. Act, think, and feel as if it is already done, and soon it will be. Even in the face of challenges, you must continue to embody your success. The people who achieve great things are not those who never face obstacles, but those who refuse to let obstacles define them. They remain steadfast in their belief, knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. They see setbacks as temporary illusions, mere stepping stones leading them to greater success. The secret is consistency. It is not enough to act, think, and feel like a success for a single moment. You must remain in that state consistently. Every time doubt arises, return to your assumption. Every time fear creeps in, reaffirm your certainty. The more you do this, the stronger your belief becomes, until eventually it is unshakable. When you fully align your actions, thoughts, and emotions with the assumption of success, you no longer chase success, it chases you. The right opportunities appear effortlessly. The right people are drawn to you. Life begins to unfold in miraculous ways, and when that happens, you will realize that success was never something outside of you, it was always within you, waiting for you to claim it. The world around you is not separate from you, it is a reflection of your inner state. Every experience, every event, and every encounter is the outpicturing of your dominant assumptions and beliefs. If you truly believe that success is on its way, life will confirm this belief. If you doubt, hesitate, or second-guess yourself, life will reflect those uncertainties. The key is to persist in the assumption that success is inevitable, that it is unfolding perfectly, and that nothing can stand in the way of what is already yours. Many people do not realize that their reality is fluid, shaped moment by the consciousness they hold. They look at their current conditions and assume they are fixed, but this is an illusion. Reality does not create consciousness. Consciousness creates reality. If you wake up every day expecting success, feeling it, knowing it, then the world will begin to shift in response. Doors will open where there were once walls. People will appear who align with your vision. Ideas will flow effortlessly. It is not a matter of if, but when. Because success is already yours the moment you claim it in your consciousness. Most individuals live by reaction, allowing circumstances to dictate their beliefs. They see temporary setbacks as signs of failure, when in truth they are simply the rearrangement of events leading to something greater. When you persist in the assumption that success is inevitable, you do not waver when things appear to go wrong. You do not let delays discourage you or obstacles define you. You remain unwavering, knowing that the unseen forces of life are always working on your behalf, aligning everything in perfect order. Faith is not hoping, it is knowing. It is the unwavering certainty that what you have imagined is already accomplished, even before it becomes visible. The greatest mistake people make is assuming that reality must change first before they can feel successful. But the opposite is true. You must first feel it, claim it, embody it, and only then will it materialize. Success is not about waiting for proof. It is about knowing that the proof is already there in unseen form, waiting for the right moment to appear. Your subconscious mind accepts whatever you persistently assume is true. It does not question whether something is logical or possible. It simply takes your dominant feelings and projects them into your reality. If you persist in fear, insecurity, or lack, that is what you will continue to experience. But if you persist in confidence, abundance, and certainty, then success must follow. The only requirement is persistence. No matter what you see in the present, your job is to remain faithful to the vision of your success. The most successful people in history were those who refused to accept present limitations. They persisted in their belief even when the world told them otherwise. They saw opportunities where others saw obstacles. They understood that reality was malleable, shaped by their conviction. Whether it was an inventor creating something the world had never seen or a leader changing the course of history, the common thread was unwavering persistence. They knew that what they envisioned was already real. They were simply waiting for the world to catch up. This same principle applies to you. If you remain steadfast in your assumption, success must unfold in the most effortless way. You do not need to force it, chase it, or struggle for it. The moment you truly believe, the path begins to clear. The right circumstances align. The right people are drawn to you. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Most people fail because they give up too soon. They waver when things do not happen immediately. They allow doubt to creep in, and in doing so, they undo the very progress they were making. The secret is to persist beyond appearances, to hold to the vision no matter what, and to trust that everything is working in your favor even when it is not yet visible. Time is an illusion. What you seek is already done. It is not about waiting. It is about aligning yourself now with the reality you have chosen. Speak as if success is already here. Move through the world with the confidence of someone who has already achieved their goals. Act, think, and feel as if the victory is already won, because in truth, it is. When you persist in your assumption, life cannot help but bend in your favor. Success does not require struggle. It requires faith, conviction, and the refusal to accept anything less than what you have chosen to be true. Hold to your vision, remain unwavering, and watch as the world conforms to your belief. Everything you desire already exists in an unseen reality, waiting for you to claim it. Success is not something you must chase. It is something you must allow. The moment you recognize that your desires are not separate from you, but rather an extension of your consciousness, you begin to understand the true nature of creation. You are not here to struggle for success. You are here to align with it, to embody it, and to let it flow effortlessly into your experience. The reason many people feel stuck is because they believe success is something external, something they must work tirelessly to attain. But this belief only reinforces the idea that success is separate from them, and so they continue to experience struggle. The truth is that success is already yours. It has been yours from the moment you desired it. The only thing standing between you and its manifestation is your ability to remain faithful to that truth, no matter what the external world suggests. When you fully accept that success is already a reality in the unseen, you shift from a state of wanting to a state of knowing. Wanting implies lack, and lack creates resistance, but knowing is powerful. It carries certainty, and certainty moves mountains. When you know that success is inevitable, you do not worry about how it will happen. You do not seek validation from the outside world. You simply live as though it is already done, and by doing so, you make it real. Many people sabotage their success because they focus too much on when and how it will happen. They constantly check for signs, seeking proof before they allow themselves to believe. But this approach keeps them stuck in a cycle of doubt. The moment you look for evidence, you are affirming that it is not yet real. But if you truly believe in the certainty of your success, you do not need evidence. You simply move forward with absolute faith, knowing that it is already unfolding. Success is not something you must force into existence. The more you try to control every detail, the more you create unnecessary resistance. Your only job is to assume the state of success internally and trust that the external world will rearrange itself accordingly. You do not need to worry about every step along the way. Life has an intelligence beyond what the human mind can comprehend. When you align with the feeling of already having what you desire, unseen forces begin working in your favor. Think of the times in your life when things seem to fall into place effortlessly. Perhaps you met the right person at the perfect moment, or an opportunity appeared out of nowhere. These moments were not coincidences, they were manifestations of allowing. Success comes naturally, but when you are in a state of struggle, you block the very thing you seek. The key is to remain open, trusting that everything is unfolding in perfect order. You must also free yourself from the idea that success must look a certain way. Many people limit themselves by being too specific about how their success should arrive. They have a rigid idea of what must happen, and when things do not unfold in that exact way, they become discouraged. But life is infinitely creative. Success can come in ways you never expected. The moment you release attachment to the how and simply focus on the feeling of already having it, you allow the universe to work in ways beyond your imagination. Doubt is the greatest enemy of manifestation. The moment you question whether success will come, you delay its arrival. Every time you entertain thoughts of failure, you reinforce that reality. But the moment you decide with absolute certainty that success is already yours, you set a powerful force into motion. It does not matter what the external world shows, your job is to remain steadfast in your belief. Even when things seem to be going wrong, trust that they are actually moving you forward. Sometimes what appears as a setback is simply a redirection towards something even greater. The people who achieve the most are those who refuse to be discouraged by temporary appearances. They remain firm in their assumption, knowing that everything is working in their favor, even when it is not yet visible. When you fully embrace the idea that success is already yours, you move through life with a sense of ease. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself or fight against obstacles. You carry yourself with confidence, speak with authority, and make decisions from a place of certainty. People respond to this energy. Doors open, opportunities arise, and life begins to reflect the success you have already claimed internally. Nothing is keeping you from success except your own hesitation. The moment you decide that it is already done, reality has no choice but to conform. The world is simply a mirror. It will always reflect back to you the state of being you hold within. Align yourself with the knowing that success is already yours and watch as life shifts in response. The journey to success is not about waiting, hoping, or striving endlessly for external validation. It is about realizing that everything you desire already exists in the unseen, waiting for you to claim it. The moment you decide that success is already yours, reality begins to shift. The external world is not separate from you. It is simply a mirror reflecting the state of consciousness you hold within. When you fully embrace this truth, you stop chasing success and start living it. Too often, people believe that success is something that must be earned through struggle, sacrifice, and effort. But this belief only keeps them trapped in a cycle of limitation. The truth is, success is not a reward for hard work. It is a natural outcome of an aligned state of being. The moment you assume the identity of the person who has already achieved what you desire, the world has no choice but to reflect that back to you. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. The greatest mistake people make is allowing doubt to creep in. Every time you question whether success will come, you push it further away. The moment you look for proof before believing, you reinforce the idea that it is not yet real. But success is not something you wait for, it is something you assume, embody, and walk in with absolute certainty. If you knew that your success was already guaranteed, how would you think? How would you act? What decisions would you make? These are the questions that determine whether you align with your desired reality or push it away. You must trust in the unseen. The conscious mind craves proof, but the deeper intelligence within you knows the truth. The subconscious mind does not question, it simply accepts what you impress upon it. When you persist in the feeling of success, regardless of what the outside world suggests, you activate a force greater than logic. This force rearranges people, circumstances, and events to match the assumption you hold. You do not need to control how it happens. You simply need to remain faithful to the reality you have claimed. Some may argue that this is unrealistic, that success requires action. But the truth is, the right actions flow naturally from a place of belief. When you embody success, you act in ways that align with that reality. You make decisions with confidence. You attract opportunities effortlessly. You speak and carry yourself as someone who already knows their success is inevitable. This is not about forcing action. It is about allowing inspired action to arise from the state of being you have chosen. Think of the people you admire, those who seem to attract success effortlessly. They do not chase, they embody. They do not wait for proof, they create it through their unwavering faith. This is the secret. The ones who achieve the most are those who refuse to be discouraged by temporary appearances. They persist in their assumption until the world catches up. Your task is simple. Assume the feeling of already having what you desire and persist in that assumption no matter what. When doubt arises, remind yourself that the unseen is more real than the seen. When circumstances seem to contradict your belief, see them as illusions, temporary reflections of past thoughts that no longer define you. Your only job is to remain firm in your knowing. The moment you truly accept that success is already yours, you free yourself from struggle. You stop looking for signs, stop worrying about timelines, stop needing validation. You step into a new reality where success is not something you hope for, it is something you live. And when you do this, the world bends to your assumption. The people, opportunities, and experiences necessary for your success will appear effortlessly, as if by divine orchestration. Success is not something outside of you. It is not something you must chase, earn, or prove yourself worthy of. It is something you claim by assuming it as already done. The world is a mirror, and it will always reflect back the reality you hold within. Choose now to align with success, to embody the person you wish to become, and watch as life transforms before your eyes.